Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's weekend frivolity. Let's see if this live stream actually kicks in here on YouTube. Are you going to play? Hey, there it is. Yay. So there's a few people over there on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. We've got a few people in the lounge here. Hey, somebody's even got the camera on. Hello, you. Well, what should I do here? I'll leave the fan running so at least we have some fresh air. We've got, I guess, little bit of growing pains to sort of get used to this new format that Google has forced us to live in here. They killed the Hangouts, which we absolutely loved and used for the past 5 years. So things are going to be a little bit splotchy here, guys. I apologize, especially those watching on YouTube. We're using right now a funny platform. What is this thing called? Jitsi? But I don't think we're going to be working off of this for too much longer. But nice to see we got a few people in the lounge and a few people on YouTube. So enjoy yourself. If you have a question, feel free to ask. It's going to take me a little, just an FYI, we had our big Vancouver meetup. I noticed our YouTube sort of quarterback decided to quit when we had our Vancouver meetup, but life just threw me so many curveballs all at once that I had to prioritize, and doing the daily videos and the weekend videos, these free videos on the site, just wasn't realistic. I had to move at the end of the month, and we had the big Vancouver meetup, and I got into a car accident, and what else? Family members that I hadn't seen for 20 years just appeared out of nowhere. So it's been quite a tumultuous past few weeks for good old Brian. Slowly getting settled in to our new digs. Got a new home now. I haven't been watching the market too closely. I apologize, for those people that have been watching our channel religiously. I'll try and do my best just to give you an overview of what I'm seeing happening in the market right now. And frankly speaking, especially all those people that are crypto related. I think, sadly, this is a really good commentary on what happens following cycle peaks. So it still looks to me like they're still in the process of cleaning this market up. And crypto's going through a lot of growing pains right now. So where should we begin? Probably not a bad idea to just take a quick view at the overall weekly picture. Not a heck of a lot has changed here, interestingly enough. Thank you, student of life. Yeah, I know. I mean, and that's the funny thing is sometimes you get into these rhythms, right? And nothing changes for months, maybe even years on end. Nothing changes. The same old, same old. And then all of a sudden, life just throws you like 20 different curveballs, and it's just like, oh, goodness. So anybody who is watching the YouTube page, and, maybe even a shout out to TRI members. We did have a gentleman who was helping us sort of keep the channel updated and stuff. But as I said, he pulled a bit of a hissy fit and decided that he didn't want to participate here anymore when I was going through all that terrible, mess over the past couple of weeks. So if there is anybody who would like, especially TRIers, if you'd like to try and help us keep this YouTube page up to date and running smoothly, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to add you in. We'll try our best, but I did notice that the channel, I guess it needs a lot of work on a daily basis, and it just hasn't been updated lately. So we'll try and update it. I'll see if I can try and include this Broiler Chicken Show in the YouTube channel feed, but I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Only time will tell. Anyway. All right, so back to sort of market commentary, and thank you, student of life. I appreciate your kind words. For those people that follow the Bitcoin market, and I know a lot of you that do follow TRI do follow it. I don't think there's really a heck of a lot of change that's happened over the past few weeks. This is a weekly price chart. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. So literally 2 months. We've been trapped in this trading range. And that's usually what ends up happening. Beautiful signal off the bottom there. Looks like 42.36 was the magic number. I've often said, and if you're watching this show for the first time, take notes as we sort of go along here. I love to drop little tidbits and stuff that'll help you see markets more clearly. 78.6, what I like to call the line in the sand, sort of the last level that if this really is a bull, the bulls will try and defend it. It did its magic here, almost right on cue. Nothing really overly shocking. What I find fascinating about this is I went to Europe and everybody was rah crypto and Bitcoin and stuff in Europe through here. And ironically enough, the price is actually now almost twice what it was when I was in Europe last summer. And yet the Bitcoin community and the crypto community are still very much reeling. And I think it has everything to do with the fact that the altcoins have just fallen out of bed. And it's almost like the powers that be have decided that they just want to kill this altcoin market. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people got trapped in the altcoin market, and there's just, it's very difficult for them to get out. Empathy, I'm certainly not going to bullshit it. I mean, money is money is money. And, if you guys are in a situation where you bought some altcoins and you're underwater, I mean, really, what I am finding, for whatever it's worth, is that there seems to be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Did notice things like OKCoin. Well, actually, not OKCoin. I think it was Binance is listing a whole bunch of altcoins that Trex killed. And I see sort of more evolution in the space. So slowly but surely, this market's cleaning itself up. With regard to Bitcoin itself, I've made the argument all along here, and I know it drives people crazy, but I don't actually think that fundamentally the Bitcoin market rallied because of Bitcoin. I actually think the major names, things like Bitcoin and Litecoin and all that, I think that the fundamental driver was this Litecoin halving event this year. And as we've sort of suggested all along here, anybody who's been watching our channel through, the winter, we had suggested that there was going to be a halving event coming up here in Litecoin. And basically, this was probably an opportunity to make some money in crypto, and actually quite a few site members paid for their trips to Vancouver, or subsidized some of their budget for the Vancouver meetup with this Litecoin rally. And in very typical fashion, I've seen this happen repeatedly, is the market will rally ahead of that event. And then once we actually hit this sort of halving event, and I don't even know if it's happened yet or not. I think it has, but I'm not totally positive. But once the halving event actually happens, usually the market pulls back. So really, business as usual here, folks. I don't see anything shocking here. The one thing that does sort of concern me a little bit, if concern is the right word, is that this Ethereum, as sort of a great proxy on the ICO market and tokens and all that kind of stuff, it just really never got going in earnest, which is a little disappointing. Ethereum has now backed up into a reload zone, or you can see it just flirted with the top of it. I don't know whether we can get this AB equals CD to fire. But what I would simply say right now with regard to something like Ethereum is it's caught now in the moving average sandwich. And probably Mountain Man or dips against those lows are probably going to be the bottom end of your range. And the top end of the range now, resistance, is that 13 EMA off the weekly chart. So a little disappointed that Ethereum just never really did have the pop that that Litecoin enjoyed, and of course Bitcoin enjoyed. I suppose one could argue, being sort of the big boy of the bunch, it makes sense. Lots of institutional participation, talk of backed, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's right, Oscar. I mean, it was almost cliche how this played out. Quite shocking, really. And if anything, we know that Bitcoin's going to have a halving next year. So probably my hunch is, whenever this sort of seasonal rally sort of peters out, if we lose this 38.2, then I feel very comfortable. We're probably going to have to come back down into reload zones down here. And this is a reload zone within a reload zone. This would paint a very wide Gartley pattern. I don't know whether we Gartley or we bad here, but I could very easily see us pull back into, say, the end of the year, very typical sort of seasonal bottoming area, and then have another ramp into next year into the halving. It wouldn't surprise me at all whatsoever. Also, too, I think really good sort of, reiteration of, anybody who's interested in buying crypto, and technically at TRI, we're supposed to be rational investors. So that means we're supposed to try and figure out what fundamental value, what are the fundamental drivers. That's sort of that whole conversation about, is your coin POW? Is your coin POS? How do you figure out what value is on these names? The POW coins, I think it's a heck of a lot easier to find value. And I think that's one of the reasons why Litecoin had its rally, POW, Bitcoin had its rally, Ethereum really never got going in earnest here. Because I still have I know Ethereum technically is POW still, but, I'm wondering whether, it's transitioning to POS. So I wonder if half of the reason why Ethereum and all of these ERC tokens and stuff that just can't buy a friend right now, I wonder, if it's a function of how the heck do you determine what value is on any of these things? Very, very difficult. But I think, with regard for the crypto enthusiasts, if you can concentrate on these POW coins, I think you actually have a half decent shot at trying to figure out where value is and where the bottom of these markets are. And we had one site member, I think he's actually doing the level 1 exam right now. Tony, I apologize. I never did find that old homework guide for you, but I think you'll do fine on the exam. You're a very, very smart individual. But he came up with this just little metric of how he figured out what the cost of production is. And I think he came up with something about $2,600. So really, it shouldn't surprise us that Bitcoin ultimately bottomed around $3,000. What's Oscar saying here? Oscar, if you were to Gartley out of here, how high would you expect BTC to go? Well, so the Gartley would be looking for this 78.6, and that's up around 16,000. And I do like that thinking, because I have a feeling that Bitcoin will rally into this upcoming U.S. presidential election. I do believe that all of this was very much about Mr. Trump and his cronies and manipulating price to try and make as much money as possible. And I wouldn't be surprised, keep in mind, he's such a wild card, that, sort of buy the rumor, sell the news kind of scenario. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin's rather well bid into that event. If he wins, then I wouldn't be surprised. Nice technical pullback, following sort of the win event, but and then a continuation on higher. But if he loses, I could very easily see all of the sort of things that you guys hated about the Clintons, the Democrats. Bernie Sanders is an outright socialist. These kind of people would probably be very happy with outlawing the ownership of cryptocurrencies. You see, the U.S. House of Representatives right now is controlled by the Democrats, and the lady that's the chairman of when we have these semi-annual Humphrey Hawkins testimonies in front of Congress. She just tears into crypto like there's no tomorrow. So ironically enough, I think actually the U.S. election acts as our next major pivot for Bitcoin and crypto in general. The problem that I have here, guys, and this is going to drive you crazy, is that on balance, I have a very hard time being a commodity bull now that we've moved through the 17 and a half year fear, greed apex event. Now I have to be thinking about buying growth. I have to be thinking about what are the companies that can use blockchain technology hold on a second here. We got a question. So Spence says, I can't hear anything in the Broiler Chicken Show. Never used that platform before either. Any suggestions? I don't know what browser you're connecting with, Survival with Spence, and that's my buddy Spencer. You can always pop on over to the YouTube page. Of course, I think that works fine. I know Colleen, as sort of a workaround, she would be in the Hangout and also watching the audio on YouTube. I know that's a pain in the butt, but this is this crazy Jitsi platform, Spencer. We're not going to stay on this. This is just sort of a workaround while we're trying to figure out what to do. Maybe Colleen, you could PM Spencer and maybe just ask him or tell him some of the things that you played around with to make yours work. But I do know it's a real pain in the butt. Casey there is saying you have to actually enable your browser to hear the audio, Survival. Yeah, so Colleen's saying all she did was listen on YouTube and watch on Jitsi. So I'm sorry, everybody. This certainly isn't intentional on our part. We're just trying to figure out a workaround. Jonas says here, refresh the lounge page and then click on the Jitsi link. So you could try to use that too. So, hey, there he is. He's over there now. Hey, Da Vinci. Nice to see you, bud. Where was I? Because we're in this trading range, clearly you can see, and this weekly candle close is actually going to be pretty important. We may just be emming out here right on the 50% level. That is actually extremely possible here. Extremely possible. That's such a term. That is definitely possible here, right? If we change this to a line chart, you can see the M is trying to form here. If we close here and then lose the 13 EMA and lose this 38.2, lose the big fat round number, then I think our rally's done, right? And, that's just the way it goes. Hope you enjoyed this seasonal rally. So this is a pretty important level right here for Bitcoin. We really would like to see, on a weekly basis, because remember, today is Sunday. This closing level here was 11,469. So let's call it 11,700. Or excuse me, 11,470. Nice try, Brian. We would really like to see this close above here. You can see right now we're sitting 11,385. So if anything, what's Da Vinci saying? He's saying, hi, Brian, you are right about the public when it comes to showing your trading plan. They don't understand money management and not to risk too much. Yeah, it's a very hard lesson to learn, Dav. I mean, if anything, the people that have taken the TRI program, and actually, I like to use Colleen as my guinea pig. Colleen, are you on YouTube? I mean, Colleen was one of your people. What do you think, Colleen? Have you slightly changed your perception of how this capitalist game works, taking the TRI programs? Use a trading plan, trade setups, obey risk management. Oh, there she is. She's chatting in the TRI lounge, so you guys on YouTube can't see, but she says, you bet. I'm very cautious. Good. Well, anyway, Colleen's learned. It's a very, very difficult process to have. And that, and it's kind of funny because a lot of people on YouTube and Twitter and stuff are kind of like, man, you don't have to take his programs. Hey, you can do it all yourself. And I might make the argument that this is a profession that we're trying to teach people here. It takes time. In fact, I think actually the average duration of our students to get from, not knowing anything to being able to seriously trade, it takes about a year of day in, day out, working your butt off every single day, coming to class every week, building your plan, following your plan, understanding the risk manager you are. I know a lot of people learned a really hard lesson through this nonsense about how, when the market was face ripping up and everybody was making tons of money and it was really easy. Oh, I'm a little old lady. Yeah, I'm a little old lady. I'm banging out doubles. But they don't understand. Little old ladies, they don't give a shit if this happens. They just don't care. They bought their assets. They're invested, and they're just sitting long. Maybe they're underwater for a while. Of course, you're supposed to buy in reload zones and all that kind of talk. But if you had little old lady, even Bitcoin here, and we have, one of our site operators, Seward, our CTO, he puts himself on a nice little dollar cost averaging plan, and he's very happy right now. And what was really cool is we had a bunch of people that came into the market through this, were patient and disciplined. Andrew, kicking ass, taking no prisoners, went and hunted this setup. It came in, he bought it, and the guys that he's working with right now, they're very, very pleased. And what's fascinating is he booked just a wicked win here. And now the people that he's working with are like, okay, come on, we got to trade more. We got to trade more. And there's no setup here. There's nothing to do. And it was funny because I was at his party over the weekend and he was telling me, man, these people just keep saying trade, 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 trade. And there's no setup here. There's nothing to do. So hats off to you, Andrew. I was so proud to hear that you kicked ass on this rally. Way to go, dude. Okay, so where were we? Long and short of it here, we're stuck in a trading range, and you just got to let this play out. You don't know how long it's going to play out. And frankly speaking, you don't know whether this is going to resolve bull or resolve bear. You just don't know. You have to trade your setups. And when the setup comes in, you take the trade. Do we have any setups that actually tell us to buy or sell when we hit 50% levels? No. Ironically enough, this is a profit-taking level. And a lot of people should have been taking profits. Did they? I sure hope they did. I know Andrew did. Way to go, Andrew. But I distinctly remember talking to you guys about this 50% rule for a long, long time. So right now we're just sort of sitting, hurry up and wait, and let's see how this silly thing resolves. We just don't know. Way to go, Matt. I think, we can drill down to lower time frames. So this is sort of like your investors, right? Investors got a beautiful signal here. You can see that they, investors, little old ladies banging out doubles, they actually got a free position established on Bitcoin on this rally here. And right now they're just laughing. They should be on a free trade. Way to go. But right now, do we have any investor signals? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So what does that mean? That means, okay, maybe you're a swing trader, right? We can go down to swing trading. I love following my little algo. My little algo, oh man, I'm so in love with this. Thank you, Sin. And it was so cool because this is when we had our TRI meetup, right? We all got together here 27, 28. And it was so cool because we're all sitting around the houses. We did a whole bunch of Airbnb houses. And it was so cool on this date. Everybody's like, check out my setup. Oh, my setup fired. Oh, all our swing traders on the site. And this was just the most beautiful signal. So swing traders, I think you could make an argument there was a nice long trade there. And you can see it worked out quite nicely. In this particular case, the way I like to run my algo is I like to identify 2-to-1 risk rewards and make sure to sell half. On the 2-to-1 profit objective hit, and then on the remaining position, just trail stops on market structure. So you can see the market went zipping up, it pulled back, it went zipping up even higher, and then it broke this low. And so that to me says, okay, get out of the rest of the position. So you get 2-to-1 on half of the position, and then you get almost 3-to-1 on the remaining position. gives you a nice 2.5 to 1 risk reward on the setup. You do that and you're right, even 50% of the time, you're making more money than you know what to do with. The cool part about this algo is it is just kicking butt. Winner, 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 even a winner on the short side, winner. Yes, it does produce losers every once in a while. Here's a couple losers, right? Loser, loser. This one I can't remember, but this one I think was a loser. So, it's not right 100% of the time. And when you're a trader, you got to get used to that. No trading system is ever right 100% of the time. And actually, I think we had an algo signal last time we did one of these broiler chicken shows on Ethereum. And that turned out to be a loser. So, go figure. Anyway, the point of the matter here is a very interesting signal right through the TRI meetup, produced a fantastic trade. And on the daily shows that we do on the site, our daily briefs, is really cool because we have so many different traders. There's a million different ways to trade this market. Julian, one of our site principals, he really likes to use things like RSI trend lines and Tom DeMark counting and Keltner channels and all that. And his system and everything that he looked at said, there's nothing to do for me here. We're just consolidating. And I thought it was interesting that off a stamp here, the algo basically was just undecided, just nothing to do. I'm still sort of vetting this out because I did notice that on things like MEX, the perpetual inverse swap contract, it did go uber bear. And I noticed on OKCoin, 4-hour chart, it also flashed an uber bear. So I am watching this signal as it sort of works its way out. But it's fascinating how on the futures and stamp, I never did get a signal. So I'm watching how this futures market setup plays itself out. And I kind of think that the bear is in control here in the short term. Like I said, Bitcoin really, if you are a Bitcoin bull, you really don't want to see a weekly print down here. You've probably heard me say before, candle body highs, I think, are fantastic trade locations. And you can see this was just a sick trade location right in there, right against those candle body highs. If you are a bull, you really want this thing to ramp up and close up here so we get higher highs and higher lows on the close line. If we crap out here, that's not so good. And the problem here is this rally into here, man, it meant just a world of selling pressure. So that's sort of, this is the 4-hour. That is that battle right in there. If we go down to sort of lower time frame, then I put a tweet out to this effect watching OKCoin. And I really do like watching the OKCoin forwards. I do think that they do do a really good job as sort of a leading indicator here. And you can see this was one hell of a battle. In essence, there is that reload zone off of that range, right? So if we go back to the weekly charts, remember we said this is the daily fail level on OKCoin. There is that reload zone, candle body highs, and all that kind of conversation. Look how the market just kept repeatedly trying to stab up into this area and just kept getting rejected, 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 rejected. I mean, there is a lot of selling pressure up here. Earlier on in the week, I had even put out messages as I was sort of slowly getting back into the groove that here was that initial sort of test of that reload zone. And interestingly enough, this also is a reload zone within a reload zone. So we have this bigger range, right? That's this red box, 61.8 to 78.6. And if we look at the weekly charts, right, that is basically this range right up into here is a reload short zone. I think you can make the argument that we also, on that event, got a reload zone within a reload zone. So you can see that the higher time frames, that's this big red box, and then the pullback away from that. Look how the market did another reload zone in here. And again, think like candle body highs for trade location. Look at that level right in there. Just absolutely beautiful, right? And we just kept repeatedly failing, and then finally dumped. I put this tweet out saying that it sure looked to me like, is we were back in the days of Brian trading crude where we'd have like the bot levels. Is this a trend continuation? We'd have Mountain Man sitting there shorting rallies against the top end of the range, and we just didn't know who was going to win the battle. And I remember day after day after day, Mountain and I would be sitting there just battling away. On this tweet, I even pointed out, though, that we never did have, we had 1 kilo, 2 kilos. We never had that third kilo for the bot to come alive. So I was looking for some sort of test of this trend line here before I could start going, okay, rock and roll, away we go, right? But it just, if we look at it, what ended up happening was there's 1 low, 2 lows, and then boom, broke this low. So at this point, we were like, okay, there's the number 2 point, and then busted. So we had to reset the recount back, and now this was the number 2. So the market rallied right back up to bot levels and then M'd out. And then, oh, maybe this is a third low. We got a little bit of a trend line to work with. You can see this downtrend line. So if we could come back up to bot levels and start Wing out above trend lines, we get things like LJ setups and all that. And sure enough, the market could not get back up through here and dumped and made a new low. So now all of these are gone. Boop, gone. Boop, gone. Boop, gone. And we're right back, start looking for the 3 higher lows, but their count is reset back to 1. And then you see the market, okay, it's going to try and stabilize. Can we get 3 lows? And then boom, it's made another new low. So now we're back to, we're at step 1 again. So I've adjusted the bot levels now off of this new low, and you never know what the hell's going to happen. But the long and short of it is, it sure looks like the shorters got paid here. The bot will still be alive as long as 66% of this move is not taken out. Notice that this trend line off of, and this is a long way back, this channel here drawn off of this high and this high, notice the market just stopped on a dime right at that channel line. The midpoint of that channel line is this dotted line, and my hunch is we got a date with this dotted line. Now, if we dump right now and we don't surpass that 66 and we start making, 3 higher lows, well, the bot still could technically be alive. But I don't know, guys. I'm not overly enthusiastic about the bot right now. I'll keep the levels on. I'll keep watching, but because we just made a new low, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And my hunch is this is all open air down in here. You can see value high. This is Colleen's value high level. And I think I even put a tweet out to this effect. We had Mountain Man level tagged. We had trend line tagged. We had value high tagged. It didn't surprise me one bit that the market stalled. And I think I even put out a tweet to the effect of, let's see if I can see it. Yeah, right. Yeah, so yes, that was the algo. I think I just wrote on here. Classic range fail, top of value. Good old Colleen. Colleen, you're our value mama now. I don't know whether you're aware of that or not, but you're our value mama. Where is she? So a long and short of it here is top of value. That's a level Hoag's going to short every day of the week. Mountain Man 61.8. That's a level Mountain Man's going to short every day of the week. And then we have this trend line resistance. And our rule is, and if anything, this is a classic trap, because our rule is you have to see a W come in on the other side of this trend line. And so here the market broke out through the top of the trend line. I'm sure a ton of people in the public were like, woohoo, party, bull, 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 and they just got bitch slapped. So really, really, again, there's your second piece. So that's 2 little pieces of incredibly valuable information that we're doing here on the Broiler Chicken Show here. If you're not a TRI member and you're just like, I want to get value out of watching this guy's rant. I've given 2 things so far here that are just absolute gold. First is, of course, 78.6's line in the sand. Second is LJ setups. You have to wait for a W on the other side of the trend line before you can believe this actually did break out. So good stuff. Hope you guys got that. But anyway, long and short of it here, textbook example of a fail level in the market. Not a surprise whatsoever that we stalled there. All right, so that sort of gives you an idea of what I'm thinking about sort of lower time frames. I said, because and I'm moving and TRI meetups and car accidents and all that kind of shit. At very best, right now, I'm thinking swing trading. I'm simply not in a mental space to be day trading. But I have seen lots of cool little day trader setups come in. But I just, full disclosure, everybody, I'm just not in a mental place to be day trading right now. So the absolute lowest I'm going to go down here for you. And really, it's probably not in your best interest on YouTube for me to get into like day trading levels and stuff because people just get confused. I think you're probably best for these things that at best we go down to sort of like swing trading levels. Let's see, what else should we report on? So hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea of what I'm thinking about Bitcoin. And the internals, I guess we'll finish off with just so what are the internals suggesting right now? I've gone on here just for illustration purposes, RSIs. You can see RSIs of making lower highs and lower lows. We potentially had like little Davos and stuff try to come in here, but they just never materialized, which is a bit disappointing. And then the market crapped out. You can see momentum-wise off my MACD study, the market was coiling and then dumped and failed. It's trying to rally back up and establish maybe even a new double bottom off of those levels. We'll see how this goes. I mean, I guess you could actually technically argue that this is a 2-hour chart, so a little bit different. But you could make an argument that we might even have a bullish divergence now come in here. This low is now lower than this low, but this low is higher, so that's encouraging. If we look at things like, we'll put RSI away, let's look at Willie. Not quite stupid yet. So I could actually see a bit more backfilling. I could very easily see MACD roll over and test this low in earnest again. And remember we said the 4-hour algo is still pointing down for things like OKCoin. So I certainly don't have enough for me to justify actually pulling the trigger on the long side. Also, I'm a little concerned too. Now we had a nice uppy volume bar here, but you can see that the buyers have just backed away. And now we actually have this buying bar was 2.5 million. This buying bar was 2.3 million. Uh-oh, that's not good. So if we get an up volume bar that's less than this low right here, which is 480,000 coins, that will actually indicate that the bulls have fallen asleep. And you can see the OBV study. It was pointing higher, and now we're slowly starting to roll over, and you can see there are signs that the bear is trying to wake up here. So put it all together, there's nothing to be bullish here for me just yet. As I said, Julian and others on the site have just simply, their models have said, look, there's just nothing to work with here just yet, so I just got to cool my jets. And frankly speaking, I think I got to be the same thing. Matt Simpson says, you mean we're not going to look at the new TV seconds charts? No, no, I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. I suppose if I put the school away and I just concentrated on trading on the site, then maybe I could start looking at those kind of time frames. But as long as we got hundreds of people running around on the site, and I get, like, I don't know, 30 or 40 PMs a day to deal with, I can't be looking at 1-minute charts. It just drives me crazy. Okay, so that's sort of your Bitcoin summary. I sure hope that helps. I talked a little bit about Ethereum earlier. A little disappointed that I just didn't see any real sort of signs of this is a bull through this. I know Dav and I were both like, gee whiz, if there's money to be made, it should be made in this Ethereum. But I guess that the scuttlebutt right now is that these tokenization and the war on altcoins and stuff, it's still ongoing. And now they've got the cloud of, does this stay POW? When does it switch to POS? All that kind of stuff. And really, I haven't heard a heck of a lot out of Vitalik lately. So I'm not really overly impressed with what I'm seeing out of Ethereum. And frankly speaking, if we look at sort of the broader market, I think Ethereum is a really good sort of example of basically the whole silly crypto market if you're not in these big POW coins. So there's a lot of these sort of internals I like to follow. And actually it was really cool on the site. Somebody showed us FTX, I think it's called. Let's see. I got it in here somewhere. Crypto. Where are we here? Somewhere on all these. Yeah, this fxt.com. This is kind of a cool site in that they've created some really interesting indexes that might help us sort of see the broader market. And they created this thing called the Poop Coin Index. I'm not going to say the S word because I get into trouble with YouTube when I swear. But these guys actually now have an index of all these sort of sub-tier names. Not a bad idea to maybe think about adding this to our repertoire. I don't know whether I can actually get this on TradingView or not. See how it says FTX? I may not be able to. But it would be really cool if we could add this to sort of our database. We had been manually on the site building fundamental screeners, big cap screeners, big cap indexes on Trex and on Binance and comparing them. And you can see, and we've talked lots about this in the past. I know it sucks, everybody. I know it sucks. But the long and short of it here, as long as we keep seeing M's and we don't see W's, there's just not a hell of a lot for us to get excited about. I wonder if we can put this on here. This would be so cool if we could. I'm going to have to update this, though. The page might blow up here. Let's hope it doesn't. I'm going to have to refresh, and let's see. Does it exist after I hit the refresh button? Hey, Megalodon Trading. All right, let's see if we can do this here. So if we go compare, are you going to work? Survey says. I don't see it. That exchange was FXT, eh? FXCM. Those are Forex. I wonder how you get crypto here. Europe, Middle East, Mexico, Asia, cryptocurrencies. There we are. Do they have it on here? FXT. Does anybody see FXT? I don't see it on here. So maybe if these guys can get going, we can add that Schult coin index to our watch list. Yeah, I just don't see it here. It's too bad. And if I hit enter, let's see what happens. Probably nothing. Invalid symbol. That's too bad. So, we can't look at it now, but, looking at all of these, there's just nothing to get bullish about here. It just drive you crazy. I mean, that's just the state of the altcoin market right now. So I did two little purchases on altcoins over the past 6 months. And I noticed that one of my purchases, it fell apart. This little BTT. And so I'm trying to exit out of here. I got my order working at 8 sats. We'll see how it goes. But long and short of it here, we broke to new lows. And so I got to walk away from this. And unfortunately, it happened right through my TRI meetup. I remember I had to move, so I didn't have any of my computer set up. And it was just an absolute nightmare. And now I'm sitting underwater on this. And, long and short of it here, as soon as I do get my fill up at 7-8 cents, I'll basically report that I've exited out of this position. It was interesting to see Doge came right down to its lows, and I was ready to give up on this thing, and now it's trying to actually put in a little bottom here. So come on, Doge, hang in there, baby. Of my two altcoins that I bought over the past 6 months, Doge is desperately trying to hang in this little BTT, as along with almost all the other altcoins has failed. So just, full disclosure, FYI on all that stuff. So the altcoin market there's nothing there. There's nothing there to get excited about, and it bums you out so much. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And like I said, I found it really fascinating that, basically Bitcoin is now twice what it was when I was in Europe, when everybody was raw crypto. And because of this altcoin disaster here, a lot of people in this space are still pretty depressed. It's very disappointing, but it's what it is. The market giveth and the market taketh awayeth. Maybe we'll talk. I don't know what. I'm just sort of getting my wind back in my sails, so I don't think I'm going to spend too much more time talking about crypto right here. Maybe next week we'll get into this a little bit more. Some people asked me to take a quick boo at things like gold. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about broader market right now. Call me crazy, right? And everybody loves to call me crazy, so that's fine. I don't mind. But I actually think that there's a really, really big celestial event coming up here fairly soon. And it happens next July, where we have the crossing of Jupiter and Saturn. And it's interesting because the last time they crossed was basically the dot-com peak, and the pivot through that generational cycle. That was the greed cycle. And then the time that they crossed before that, of course, was 1980. And actually, you know what? Maybe why don't we do that for fun? I was showing this on the site on our last daily brief. Let's see, where is it? I want to say that one, but I don't think that's right. I think it's down here. Somewhere around here. Here we are. I think this is it. It'll take a second to get this chart set up correctly. But, those people who are watching gold in earnest, in our education program, we talk extensively about fear, greed cycles, and what are sort of the appropriate proxies given which market we're in. I do believe that to a certain degree, Bitcoin ate gold's lunch. Ethereum, I think, very similar to the price action that you saw in silver through its this last fear cycle apex. And interesting enough, that was a Jupiter-Saturn cross as well. And that's sort of what brought this to mind for me. Man, I see a heck of a lot of similarities here. It's interesting how we were talking about like Gartley's and stuff. This was the gold, right? You can actually see that, maybe down, up, down, up. That only made 38.2. This one went well beyond 38.2. But you can sort of see maybe we're sort of like in this phase right now. Maybe it looks something along the lines like that. I don't know. It's tough to say. But there sure is a heck of a lot of similarities here. And really, I'm kind of thinking like this is what I'm looking for going forward out of Bitcoin, which of course is going to drive everybody in crypto crazy. I don't know. Let's see what, just out of curiosity, what was the extent of this pullback? Yeah, so that actually went almost all the way right down to the bottom. I think I have, 88.6. Yeah, interesting. So that even went beyond 88.6 there. So if we just apply the same logic, I'll be looking for a retest of these lows if this plays out similarly. And then unfortunately for the Ethereum bugs, and this is one of the things that's kind of bugging me about Ethereum, is that you notice that the silver market, it actually had to go and break those lows, and it took like years for this to happen. So I'm worried that the Ethereum people, they're going to just be sort of stuck in the mud here for a long time. But we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. But interesting how 1980 Jupiter Saturn cross was this gold silver insano nutso face rip move up-o. I mean, you never know. Maybe into and the Jupiter Saturn cross, this one coming along, maybe Bitcoin can make new highs. I don't know, but me personally, I'm not in that camp. I think we're going through this transition window generationally. Jupiter Saturn crosswise. What I actually hear a lot of people saying is they're expecting another financial asset crisis. And I can tell you guys from my experience that a crisis happens, everybody focuses on that crisis. And then for like the next 10, 20 years, that's all they think about. Oh, well, when's the next crisis that's similar to what just happened? I would actually make the argument, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think there will be another U.S. financial asset crisis. I think it's come and gone. Everybody, and it's interesting because the guy that I just rented this new house from, he owns quite a few of these houses. And he, as soon as he found out that I run trading schools and all that kind of stuff, he's like picking my brain. And he was saying, everybody's uncertain, everybody's worried, everybody's worried. Well, I can tell you, absolutely. The market will not crash if everybody is worried. The only time markets crash, and everybody in crypto should have learned this lesson the hard way. It was a very powerful lesson to learn. The only reason why Bitcoin market crashed is because when we were going through here, it was like everybody had to be long. Everybody's like, you're insane not to be long crypto. Everybody's getting rich off of crypto. I can't believe you're not buying. And of course, our site and all businesses in the stock market, all advisory services, all that kind of stuff, they all newsletter writers, they all follow the market incredibly closely. And the best tell that we were at the top of the market was the amount of people enrolling in the school through this peak here. It went absolutely insane. And that in itself was unfortunately a really sad tell that was the top of the market. But anyway, that's here nor there. The point that I would just make is that I think we're on the other side of that cycle now. And it's interesting how I'm hearing a lot of people getting super bullish about gold. And I'm really worried for the gold bugs. If we just fast forward, we'll use this chart. Yeah, that's a nice move. But are we breaking out to new highs here? I don't know. We had a very powerful resistance level that seems to be resolved. But if we go things like AB, CD, you can see we just actually hit a bullish objective. In fact, actually, you really have to go off of there. A, B, C, D. This was a profit objective. So I don't know. It's awfully tough for me to get too bullish of gold in here. If we do just simple things like reload zones, you can see, you know who's going to be getting interested in hitting gold soon. We're not there yet. In fact, we still got quite a ways to go. We just crossed 1,500. Good old mountain man sitting there at 1,600, and he's more than happy to hit the market at that 1,600 level. If we change this to a line chart, you'll probably see this a little clearer. You can see where the original M top is. All of these people that bought up here, if we can get back up into there, oh my God, they're going to breathe a massive sigh of relief. Like, oh, phew, I can finally get off of these positions that I've been sitting underwater in forever. I think you could also make the argument, too, that maybe we have like, let's see, how do we want to do this? Well, something along these lines, right? Head and shoulders. So head and shoulders here, if we draw a line from the neckline down to the head and then project that off of the neckline, well, that's projecting right up into our reload zone. So, yeah, there's still a bit more room to run here. But is this a new bull market? I don't know. That's pretty tough. The old adage, right? You got to show me a new high and I'll show you a buy. If anything, this is a good example of that LJ trendline breakout. So we break out, great buy signal right in here. And what's really cool about this, no, I won't get into that now. It's too complicated. But I would just simply say that, we're probably, in my eyes, we got maybe like $200-300 left on the gold rally, which is a nice number. I mean, $200 is $200 is $200. I can't be a buyer here of gold. I'm just not allowed to. If I did want to try and play this higher, I got to see a little bit of a consolidation to set up probably a bot up into these levels. But I don't have a new breakout to new highs here. So I'm not like, all right, this is a new bull market, away we go. I do know that there are a bunch of people on this site. I don't subscribe to this, but nonetheless, it is here. So we might as well just make reference to it. I do acknowledge that we could be doing a massive higher time frame monthly bot. If you wanted to play this, totally fine, but just make damn sure to follow the bot trading rules. So in this particular case, like we said, trendline breakout, nice W's. In this case, you can front run the bot a little bit, so you're in a little bit ahead of time. You're probably long off of these levels. Now that the bot level there at 1462 is fired, and I'm just eyeballing this, it's not exact. If we rally up and test these old highs, you can move your stop to scratch. That's going to take a hell of a rally here. Because this is a monthly time frame, this probably isn't going to go straight line. But interesting, this big monthly bot does project 2,700. Maybe that happens into that big Jupiter Saturn cross event. It's possible. And I thought it was really interesting. If we go back, like I said, 2000 was Jupiter Saturn cross. It was demographic turn, huge pivot. 1980-81 was demographic pivot, Jupiter Saturn cross. That was the fear cycle pivot. We go back prior, the previous one was Jupiter Saturn cross was 1961-1962, which was all around the days of Camelot and the Nifty 50, and that was a cycle pivot. Then we go the previous one, and the previous one's really cool because it happened in November, December 1941. And a lot of historians make the argument that German expansion in Europe stopped on the failure of the Battle of Britain. And then in the following years, they came up with this crazy idea of invading Russia. And of course, that led to Germany's demise. So you can actually see these Jupiter-Saturn crosses not only as sort of market pivots, but also like geopolitical pivots as well. Yes, Colleen, just for Colleen's sake, why don't we put that on a monthly chart? There you go. There's your monthly chart, dear. Are you okay with that now? Colleen, she keeps me honest. There's no doubt about that. That's that monthly pivot. Me personally, now it's interesting that this peak came in here in 2012. I still think that Bitcoin ate gold's lunch, and really this was supposed to pivot through here. We'll see how it goes. There is that 1980 pivot I just talked about a moment ago. But no doubt about it, through this period of this Jupiter-Saturn cross, times are going to be really screwy. And I see that happening in the marketplace. Ironically enough, you know what the biggest bull market right now is? And it's quite shocking. But the biggest bull market, in my opinion, is in the bond market, which, and of course, you guys, you crypto people, you hate bonds. I mean, maybe I'm speaking out my butt, but I know you guys really aren't the biggest fans. But if we look at the trend following signals, These bond markets are just in the most insane bull rallies. I had been putting out things like bots on things like Euro bonds. And of course, if you know what's going on in Europe, their economic growth is basically stopped. And you can see how the move stopped to trailing level on this massive higher time frame bot on the European bond market has just hit. So anybody who did take this beautiful long setup here off of the higher time frames, they now have no choice. They have to make money on this trade. Also is pointing out, and this is probably the most powerful bond market rally around the world, the Japanese bond market, and its beautiful bottom here, acceptance of the 25 level, and here it goes. And then, of course, the Americans, their bond markets haven't even gotten back to new highs yet, but really interesting how we rallied right into a mountain man level. I mean, look at that beautiful W down there. Here's another piece. So this is your third freebie here from this Broiler Chicken Show. Please, everybody, and I used to talk about this to the crypto kids at length, but a lot of people that came into crypto and Bitcoin and stuff at the top of the market, I would just say, please, people, remember, this is a weekly price chart. Can you see the weekly W? Where is the weekly W? Here's the weekly W, right? If we go like line chart, right? There is the weekly W right there. So, heading back to the bond market, look at this incredible weekly W here. Just absolutely perfect. I mean, just absolutely textbook. So learn this stuff, people. It works, right? We'll change this to a line chart so you can see it, right? Down, up, down, test those lows, get back up through those highs, away you go. Look at that cute little W that just came in there. But this is the stuff that I really need you guys to pay attention to. And really, kind of like what we were talking about with the altcoins right now. We don't see any W's here. They sure tried. Come on, can I get a W? Can I get a W? And nope. M. As long as we're seeing M's, us technicians, there's just nothing for us to do. On the long side, that is. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, ironically enough, the biggest bull market around right now is in the bond market. This is an interesting conversation unto itself as well, because we'll know that this hold on a second. We'll know that this current economic expansion has come to an end when we see the yield curve invert. So where is the yield curve? There it is, U.S. dynamic yield curve. So we haven't noticed, and here's another little piece of awesome information for you. This is our fourth piece of free information. The YouTubers, this is great stuff. Please be taking notes, take screenshots, tell your friends, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those fun things. But here's your fourth little freebie. Just grab this link. It is the easiest link for you to bookmark. It's so simple and very simply put. I just put it in the YouTube chat box there. I'll throw it in the lounge as well, because everybody at TRI should know this. Of course, we have this in the library here, so you can pop into Trading Utilities and grab it really easily. But in essence, this is the single most accurate predictor of recession ever. And if it's that accurate, why don't we all use it? What I actually find fascinating is a lot of people they misinterpret this. I heard in the media about a month or so ago, everybody and their brother was all like, oh, the yield curve is inverted, the yield curve is inverted. And then you pull up here, this, and let's back up to like January. Somebody tell me, let's see, there we go. Does this ever change from normal to inverted? The answer is no. I'm not quite sure how all these idiots in the media and stuff all started squawking about the yield curve inverting. The yield curve has not inverted, right? We're right at the end, no inversion. It didn't happen. Now, here is the .com boom, right? And you can see inverted. Dot-com boom, dot-com bust. Here is Junior Bush's, the U.S. housing market, right? Lost another loan to Ditech, right? You can see inverted within 6 months. Financial asset crisis. There is no inversion here yet. So I'm a little disappointed in the media and the public. They fucking got it wrong again, and it just pisses you off because these people are supposed to be. I don't get it why they're so stupid, but they got it wrong. And everybody a month ago was saying, "Oh, yield curve's inverted." It never went inverted. It hasn't gone inverted yet, and we have to wait for it. And you have to be patient. And the long and short of it here is the long end of the curve has to dip below the short end of the curve for this to go inverted, and it just hasn't. Anyway, the point of the matter here, and Brian's getting all excited. Sorry, everybody. But the point of the matter here is if we actually pull up the yield curve analysis we like to follow, here is the 10s, the 5s, and the 2s. There is the short-term interest rates. There is the long-term interest rates, and long-term interest rates are still higher than short-term interest rates. Curve is not inverted yet. Interesting too, TED spread, are we anywhere near a financial asset crisis? No. Now the TED spread is actually sitting very happy. It's more than happy right now. Financial asset crises happen when the TED spread goes above 1.0, right? So there's 1.0. There is 2008. There is the financial asset crisis. All hell breaks loose, right? We need to see this kind of move up in the TED spread. Right now, we're going the other direction. We're actually heading into massive deflation right now. There's no financial asset crisis here. Sorry, folks. So the bottom line here is yield curve is not inverted. TED spread is not in crisis mode. Bond market is in an absolute insane face rip rally move higher, and you can see. And this would be interesting to see where this thing actually closed the week. I'm showing a final print here, 23.51. I actually did this halfway through the week. And keep in mind that this prints off of a weekly basis. So it's actually important that we write that number in there. So 20, where are we here? 23.51. So we haven't quite gone through those lows yet. If we go through these lows, right, 26.05, then that actually means that we're heading back into a massive deflationary spiral. And you might actually even see more talk about quantitative easing and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting. Through this latest Fed event, they did cut rates, but they actually mentioned that they were going to start doing their quantitative easing repurchases again. So let's keep a real close eye on this level. You see 23.51, 26.05. We're close, but if this thing actually M's out, we could actually head into another massive deflationary spiral where the economy just is unwinding. All right, so I wanted to just talk a little bit about yield curve. There is no recession yet, and I won't be calling recession until at least the rule is the economy will go into recession about 6 months following that yield curve inversion. So we're not quite there yet. And so as a result, and actually I was studying the S&Ps really closely recently, looking for that sort of reason to actually start calling tops in the market. This is a weekly price chart of the S&P 500. And I hate to say it, guys, this to me looks like actually, and it's interesting that Dav's on the call, because we actually used to talk about this as sort of the Da Vinci nightmare, right? And a megaphone. What I see is, and you can see I already have this bottom line, I see megaphone. And which means that we could very easily trade right back down to these levels. But I don't really have a signal that, the economy is actually going to go into collapse. I think what ends up happening here is a lot of sort of like what we saw in January, where you have these insano nutso face rips down and then insano nutso face rips right back up. That's the kind of environment that I think we're in right now. So we'll see how it goes. Also, too, I don't really, this V-top, 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 another V-top. Notice that through this correction, at least here we had structure to work with, right, where we actually had an M come in. So it made sense why the market had to correct through here, given this very stiff resistance. I don't even think we even have that yet, right? Like I said, we just made a new high. And in a weird sort of way, this is an awesome trader's environment, but I don't know whether it really paints recession yet. And keep in mind, I personally think that Mr. Trump has basically just turned the stock market over to Goldman Sachs and all of the trading people of the world and just said, go have fun with it. I'll tweet out when things get really bearish that we'll step in and we'll support the market. And then when things get really uppy, I'll step in and I'll say something about tariffs and trade wars or something. And just, enjoy the volatility, make as much money as you want off the volatility. That's really the kind of market that I think we're in right now. And a really good analogy of that is the crude oil market. What I've noticed over the past 6-8 months is that basically, the market's on its knees. Mr. Trump comes out and says, "Oh, we're going to make friends with Iran." And then the market rallies up, and then all of a sudden, or other way around. I'm sorry. When the market rallies up, oh, we're going to make friends with Iran. When the market dumps, all of a sudden, oh, a drone is knocked out of the sky. Market rallies up. Oh, no, everything's fine. Market tanks. Oh, no, we're back. We're at war again, blah, blah, blah. And I see this repeatedly through this market. So again, sort of a commentary of that Jupiter-Saturn cross, big event, a lot of confusion in the marketplace. I think the market state itself has changed. And, if you are a sharp trader, I think there's actually a lot of money to be made here, but you got to be very, very sharp, no doubt about it. And if anything, this is where our little algo just kicks butt, where, these signals coming in. It's interesting how we did get a long signal on the stock market following that dump. And it's interesting, I just noticed here on the close, we'll see how this acts Monday morning, but we actually got an uber bear signal on gold. So go figure. So, you can see the M. That should be pretty obvious to everybody. If you go clotheslines, probably really easy to see, right? There it is. Up, down, up. Uh-oh. If we lose these levels, look out below. And the algo just went uber bear. You can see where the algo went uber bull. And of course, woohoo, big rally. So, my conversation about the U.S., about gold, maybe a little too far, too fast. I'm not, I certainly can't be a buyer of gold up here. That's absolutely for certain. Actually, it's interesting that Dav's here because I squawked about it and I said I was going to do the trade and I fucking totally dropped the ball. But his silver stocks, oh my God, they just went crazy. Let's see if I can find the silver stocks for you. Oh God. And I look at this chart and it just pisses me off. Take it easy, Dad. But before you go, check out these silver stocks. And what bums me out is that there's those damn weekly W's that I was just talking about. And weekly W's within reload zones within reload zones. Why the fuck did I not buy this damn thing? And you can see the incredible rally that this is the biggest silver stock around has enjoyed. Now, the problem is can I be a buyer here? No, I can't touch this right here. If anything, we're probably coming into the end of that move, not the beginning. Now, just kind of like what I said on gold, if we could get a little bit of a pause and come back down against these levels and maybe even draw things like reload zones and all that kind of fun stuff, I could entertain the idea of being a buyer. Where is that? So that, how ironic, right? It's just so happens to be right down in the areas where all the previous buy levels were. But I can't chase up here. Just can't do it. So it is interesting to see how the gold market is actually potentially flashing a sell signal here for the traders. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this, and maybe next weekend, our our Broiler Chicken Show there. We'll take a good look at this gold and see if this Uber signal came in. And where would 2 to 1 be? 2 to 1 would be somewhere in that area there. My hunch is, for whatever it's worth, probably, well, why don't we put it back to a candle chart and see if we get some levels? Well, it's interesting. That is actually the trend line. It's way down there. Oh boy, this gold market's looking dangerous. If I go off of this range, and we'll assume that this is a pretty good floor here, then we probably should be looking for, at the bare minimum, oops, 38.2s will be that sort of algo 2 to 1 risk reward level trade setup coming into fruition. 50% is sort of our keep us honest indicator level, and you can see how that lines up nicely with the original breakout. That's probably a very realistic target. Also, too, you notice that is the top of value. Colleen, are you still on the call? Do you see how that's the top of value there? I don't know where Colleen is. Where are you, Colleen? She was the one who wanted me to get this Broiler Chicken Show and stuff going back. She was in the lounge going, when's the Broiler Chicken Show? When's the goddamn Broiler Chicken? I paid good money for this, damn it. Where's my Broiler Chickens? But anyway, so now you can see we got 50% level. I know, I'm just playing with you. You're such a sweetie. Hugs and kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah. But and I'm not quite sure. We gotta come up with an icon for this. But we'll just we'll put right here, instead of Hogue, we're gonna put a big value mama. So there's Colleen sitting there waiting at value high. So we got the original breakout level, and actually you could argue this is even like 2 breakout levels. Right there and right there. We got the window. We got Colleen sitting at her value mama level. Maybe we'll put that like 20. Right, sitting right in there. And notice that that's a 50% retracement. So my hunch is, for whatever it's worth, right, I like the idea of a pullback in the gold market here over the coming week or two. Now, it'd be interesting to see, right? We've often talked about this. Here's little tidbit number 5 for you. Gold prices and crude oil prices have a very hard time moving up or down in unison. And, it's interesting that we see sort of Bitcoin kind of topping out. We've got the bonds topping out. Notice, I think the bonds actually, they didn't flash Uber bear. But this bullish signal that fired here, beautiful market structure, algo saying get bullish. And then again, more Uber bull signals out of the algo. So if you missed this level, you could have hunted the breakout of here. And then, 2 to 1 levels hit, way to go, trail your stops, move your stop to there, move your stop to here, move your stop to here, boom. That's now been stopped out. So, on this algo signal, your other half was liquidated at more than a 4 to 1 risk reward. Wow, nice trade. But, I like to just have the 2 to 1s on just as simple reference. Could the bond market do a little bit of cleaning up here? I absolutely think so. And again, notice reload zones, Mountain Man's going to basically be a breakout, a test of the breakout level. So we can draw a reload zone, something like that. And then again, good old Colleen and value mama. She's going to be sitting right here at value high, waiting for a test of the top of value. So you can sort of see a lot of the similarities here. We could also even draw things like AB equals CDs. There to there. Yeah, there to there. So that's going to take us down into 50% levels. So, it's interesting that we have sort of like the bonds kind of waffling and topping out. We've got gold looking very toppy. Japanese yen usually moves in conjunction with the gold. And the bonds sort of as a flight to safety trade. don't really have anything to work with here on yen, so we'll keep an eye out on that. It hasn't broken in earnest, and actually could make an argument higher highs, still pointing up. So if anything, the one sort of saving grace for the gold market is the yen is still pointing higher. But it's interesting that we're seeing Bitcoin looking very toppy up here as well. And actually, there's a chart that I had on the site that I was putting out. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. These markets to me look very correlated. So there's the Japanese yen, there's the gold, there's Bitcoin, there's the bonds. You can see how they all rallied here in unison. Interesting how Bitcoin did not break out through the top end of the range here, even though everybody else did. So if we start aiming out here, like all of these markets are highly correlated, the energy markets, and also that makes sense too, right? If energy prices are higher, then that would mean that the attractiveness of Bitcoin profits from mining might be lower, right? So maybe going to cool your jets on Bitcoin enthusiasm. The point I'm trying to make here is that we often see that oil and gold, and I think I have a chart on that as well. Oil and gold move in opposites. Where do I have that? Well, I have this one, but I don't know whether this is going to show it or not. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so let's see. ZB, is that one? No. Okay, I'm not quite sure why this is pointing down like this. That might be the yield. But here is oil. Oh, this is an hourly chart. That's why. Let's maybe go to like daily. All right, so here we go. So you can see, if we get rid of oil, you can see up, 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 up. A lot of correlation here. Stock market, a little bit uncorrelated. So we'll remove stock market. But hopefully you can see, right? Bitcoin, bonds, gold, Japanese yen, highly, highly correlated. So the opposite side of that, and sort of our rule is that if we just leave the gold and the oil on here just to illustrate this, the oil market has been heading down for a while. And notice that oil is trying to catch a bid here. So, if oil is trying to catch a bid, notice we got reload zones, right? If we just did a RLZ of this oil market, gee whiz, what a coincidence. And, God, please, people on YouTube, learn this stuff. It's incredible how powerful it is. It shouldn't surprise us at all that the market turned here. Shouldn't surprise us one bit. Already did Goss Pit IG 88. We already did look at the yield curve, so maybe go back and watch that later on. So if this is the case, that oil is trying to turn back up here, then all of those markets, and of course, if oil prices turn back up, that's going to be inflationary. So long and short of it here, bonds are not going to do well in that kind of environment, right? We could get rid of the gold here, and we could throw bonds on here. It shouldn't surprise us if oil starts ramping up. That's inflationary. Bond prices are going to come back down. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is I kind of feel like all of these correlated markets, bond, yen, gold, Bitcoin, all have moved up egregiously together in the face of oil collapsing here. I got a feeling maybe we need a little bit of back and forth. We should also keep an eye on too, are there any hurricanes or anything, any kind of that kind of talk in the Gulf of Mexico? If that's the case, then that'll help oil find some sort of floor. And then finally, how are things going in the Middle East? Are things hotting up a little bit? As OPEC decided to try and curtail production, that kind of talk, that should help the oil market stabilize. And interestingly enough, one sort of aside, and I'm sort of rambling here today, but I'm just having fun. I'll try and have a little bit more structure when we in the coming weeks. I'm just sort of getting back on groove here. But if we look at the commodity currencies, I find this really interesting in that the energy related currencies, things like the Canadian dollar and the Russian ruble, they're still trending bull. The pure metal play commodity currencies, Australian dollar, South African rand, they've fallen apart. So something is completely disconnected here, folks. Historically, currencies lead everything. Write that down. There's another. That's free tidbit number 6. Oh man, Brian's just giving away the gems today. Currencies lead everything. So if these metal-based commodity currencies are breaking to new lows and trending lower, it's very, very difficult for me to actually get too bullish of gold here. I'm sorry. It's very, very difficult for me to get too bullish. So, that there's that added to the equation. All right, I've sort of meandered and rambled a bit here today. Let's see if I'll just quickly go through the YouTube chat. I know some people asked me to look at specific things. I'll see if there's anything in particular you asked me to look at that maybe I've missed. What's this? Please show gold chart if you can. We took a look at the gold. My 2 thoughts there now. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Comments on BTC rallying only on the recent CNY devaluation because of capital flight out of China. I do like that thinking, Peter. And I could make the argument that all of these assets have enjoyed a bit of a bid because of the CNY situation and China situation. I'd also make an argument too, Peter, that what's going on in Hong Kong, I think, is huge. I've actually heard a lot of people make a lot of correlation and comparison to what's going on in Asia right now as very similar to what happened in Europe in the early part of the 20th century. Just a ton of correlation. So I might make the argument not only, and actually we do study that and follow it on the daily brief videos that we do on the site. We like to follow both the Chinese yuan and, of course, Mr. Trump hates Mexico. So we've been following these two markets really closely. And the Chinese yuan, I couldn't agree with you more. Something big is going on here. I do believe that the Chinese have decided that the easiest way for them to deal with their weakening economy is just to simply devalue their currency, which is exactly what Mr. Trump does not want. So it must be driving him absolutely crazy. If we throw on sort of a comparison of Bitcoin and China, I think you can make an argument that Bitcoin's trending lower. The Chinese currency was trending lower. Bitcoin started to turn up in earnest as the Chinese currency was starting to turn up. Chinese currency rolled over. Bit of a divergence here as Bitcoin continues to move higher. Chinese currency has gone now again to new lows. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, technically we could make the argument that Bitcoin did really well through here. Chinese currency was trying to bottom and it did well. So maybe the correlation there, Bitcoin as a leading indicator, it started to break down, maybe thinking that the Chinese currency was going to devalue. Okay, so that correlates. Then Bitcoin price tries to bottom. Chinese currency tries to bottom. That Chinese currency rally now is finished. Does Bitcoin have to now come back down? Notice this big dump here in Chinese currency, dump in Bitcoin. So I'm not quite sure about the direct correlation between Chinese devaluation of their currency and Bitcoin price. Sometimes I see it correlated, other times I don't. But what I will say, which does I find actually correlate really well, is I think that there's a lot of people, especially in Hong Kong, that are like, wow, this could really deteriorate into things like civil war. I don't know whether you're aware, but the Chinese now have basically fired their current sort of police commissioners and stuff in Hong Kong. They've brought in some real strong arm men that in previous protests just squashed them like a bug. And I believe that the Chinese want to, the mainland Chinese government wants to ramp things up and get serious about this. We could very easily see Hong Kong deteriorate into a civil war. It wouldn't surprise me. And I was talking with people over the weekend. Peter, I don't know whether you're still on the call. Are you still here? Oh, there you are. Yeah, you are. Cool. Like this is getting some serious shit. I was in Los Angeles for the LA Olympics in '84. I don't know whether you guys, many of you were even alive if you remember this, but I remember distinctly the Winter Olympics in Sarajevo in 1986, I think it was. Yeah, 86, I think it was. And Sarajevo at that point was labeled as, the ultimate sort of future society where different ethnic groups could live together and cooperate. And does anybody on YouTube or anybody here at TRI Colleen, you must remember the Sarajevo Olympics. Like it was considered like the, Tito's sort of, I don't know, it's Tito. I think that's what his name was. The dictator there in Yugoslavia, right? It was considered the model of sort of future societies. And then we all know what happened in Yugoslavia, right? And Sarajevo basically became a killing ground, right? Thousands and thousands of people died, and just a nasty, nasty civil war. There's no reason why that can't happen in Hong Kong. And so we fast forward maybe 10, 20 years. Has it happened again in places where things seemed to be relatively calm and happy-go-lucky and utopia, and we'll all just get along, and a united nation, we're all happy-go-lucky? Yeah, it happens a lot in this world, it turns out. Has anybody ever heard of a place called Lebanon? Anyone? Lebanon used to be called the Paris of the Middle East. I mean, it was considered like the place to be. And we all know what's happened to Lebanon. Yeah, I'm not going to, this has nothing to do with Clinton, Mr. Gospittig 88. I'm not going to touch that thing. But the point is that the point that I'm trying to make here is that don't kid yourself. Hong Kong could turn into an absolute disaster here. And it's been a while since we've had some major shoot-ups. And the worst part about it, of course, is that the political leader in the United States right now, he'll probably just say, fuck you, Hong Kong. Hey, you're on your own. Good luck. So, oh boy, excellent point that you make there, Peter. There is big shit going on in China right now. And to a certain degree, I think a lot of this sort of Bitcoin bull, it has a lot to do with what's going on in Hong Kong. That's been my feeling for quite a while now. So, all right, went off on a wicked tangent there. Sorry, everybody. All right, what else did you want me to talk about here? Okay, plan your trade, change your plan. That's a good idea. The more I learn, the more okay. Especially I feel okay, good. Trying to get some tests at 50% lower. Right? Good. Brian tries some W's. Good. All right. If I remember correctly, BTC was relatively strong into Labor Day weekend last year, then dumped hard into the first week of September. Yeah, that could definitely play out again, Matt. Wouldn't surprise me. And the interesting thing is, a guy like Sjord absolutely believes in Bitcoin. So ironically enough, for those people that want to buy, I have to say, if you want to invest in Bitcoin, this is the last place in the world you want to be a buyer. If you want to invest in Bitcoin, if you want to invest in commodities, what you really have to focus in on is this concept called the cost of production. That is the investment level for Bitcoin. And I even put tweets out to things like CNBC. Did any of you guys see my tweets to CNBC? I pleaded with that guy on CNBC, and I followed him forever. And I pleaded with him, please talk about the cost of production. And these motherfuckers won't do it. It makes me so angry. It's like, get a fucking head on your shoulders, people. Where was that? I know I get all excited and ranting and all that. It's so sad to hear that this guy passed away. Really liked him. Where was that Joe Kernan guy? Anyway, somewhere way back in here. It's been a while since I've been in the loop. I'm all. Anyway, I guess it was a month or so ago. I pleaded for these people to start talking about cost of production. And nobody wants to talk about the cost of production. It drives me crazy. Oh, well, it was somewhere way back when here. I can't even remember when it was. Anyway, really good commentary. I like this gentleman here. I think his name's Flib. I'm not even quite sure, but he also did up big write-ups on cost of production. And even Satoshi himself, guys, please, you people on YouTube, learn this stuff, please. Even Satoshi himself in the damn white paper even said the price of any commodity tends to gravitate towards the production cost. So, I won't find the damn tweet to CNBC. But the point here is the cost of production of a Bitcoin right now $11,000? No, it's nowhere near there. Maybe it's rising as we go over time. Totally cool. But as it was like last in June, we were talking like $2,000-3,000. What a surprise! The market pivoted there. So ironically enough, I actually think for like the broader people, the people who believe in the Bitcoin story and you want to invest in the Bitcoin story, you want price to come back down here. You don't want to pay these high prices. You want it to come back down so you can buy some cheaper Bitcoins. So really that's, as somebody just posted above here, that's exactly what you want. Cheaper Bitcoins is good. Okay. I would like a copy of the Binance Alt and BitREX Alt Index. Okay, well, Dav, just give me a holler and we'll send it to you. Matt says gold monthly profile looks ready to rock and or roll. Well, I talked a bit about gold there. Anyone know the Binance Alt BTC ticker? I don't think it's a ticker on, but Da Vinci's not here, so we don't have to worry about that. So, okay, well, yeah, it looks like we answered most of the questions here. The gold monthly bond projects the target is roughly equivalent to the current cost of production. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Maybe gold into that Jupiter Saturn cross does have to peak. Do we see 20,000 on gold? No, I don't know. That's a tough one. All right. Looks like gold. It looks like Reza and Da Vinci were having a heated debate over here. NASDAQ to crypto market cap comparison allow me to predict the 360 billion CMC all the way from 140 billion CMC. Oh, good job, Sam. That's kind of cool. Okay, time for me. Can we look at yield curve? We did look at that earlier. Okay, so it looks like we answered any questions that people might have had. Yeah, okay. Okay, we looked at that. BTC 8,500 by October 1st, 50% rule. Oh, Colleen talking like a boss now. Thank you, Brian. Cost of production, hence why the dollar value of BTC cannot be justified by any means. Yeah, and that's the thing, Reza, is you have to understand that most commodities don't want to trade at cost of production. You know, if you actually look at like the gold market, I think the average for the major producers is around 1,000. And you notice gold, it tried to get down there and it just spikes away from there. It spikes away from there. Keep in mind, if a commodity is trading at the cost of production, then it means that there's no profit margin for the people who are actually in the business. So they definitely need a profit margin. It's just if you can buy at or near cost of production, then at least you know you're getting value. You want to sprinkle in some technical analysis to help you time those purchases. Weekly W's. Well, then you're on your way, right? And that's being a rational investor. Okay, I've been blabbing away here. Colleen, what do you think? Did you get your fill today? Did I help at all? I know I've dropped at least 5 or 6 value bombs on the YouTube page here. So if anything, your challenge, all you YouTubers, especially people who are going to be watching this video later on, your challenge is to find those 6 reference points that I made and make damn sure you journaled them, you log them, and you learn this stuff because, man, it works. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. I got to go get ready to give the boy an awesome afternoon. That's my #1 job in my life. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. We'll try and sort of get back into more of a regular routine. Those people that were helping us with the YouTube page, please understand that we had quite a few life-altering events there. So we'll try and get sort of back into more a regular routine through the middle of the summer here. Try and be patient with us and maybe don't just abandon us just because we derailed for a week or so. But, hope to see everybody on the site. Of course, if you are watching the YouTube page and you would like to try and learn how to build trading plans, you saw people in the chat box there talking a bit about building your plan, trading your plan. That's the real sort of value that I bring to this world, this community is. I believe that through our very structured program, those people that work really, really hard, they're just transformed. And actually, I'm going to leave off with just one quick reference point that I made earlier, because this gentleman did exactly what I'd love to see all students go through. Let's see where he is. Where are you, Joshua? Joshua, where are you? Maybe I thought I retweeted his tweet. Let's see, maybe it's up here. Tweets and replies. Yeah, right here. This is exactly. Where's the original tweet though? How does that work? Yeah, fudge. Twitter went and changed everything. Joshua, how do I see your damn tweet? That's brutal. Usually, I used to be able to just like see the tweet. Now I can't. Darn. I wonder how that works. Fudge. Anyway, maybe I can see it over here. Here it is. So, this is exactly what I do with the school. Mr. McGowan says here, over the last 1.5 years, I spent nights and weekends learning from myself. With only a few weeks left in the program, I can't believe how he took me from literally knowing nothing to knowing fibs and harmonic patterns and trading them in real time. This is only one of 36 modules in our course. I mean, it is a very, very robust course. But in essence, I take everybody from not knowing anything at all to ultimately being a professional trader that can understand both location tools, that's basically what harmonics are, to indicator tools. Look at all the different fun indicators Joshua's using here, to understanding price structure and looking at levels and how you enter trade and managing risk, to ultimately actually taking trades and making money from trading. That's interesting, Colleen. Oh, I like that expression. It's a box of freedom toys. That's great. Way to go, Colleen. I'm so proud of you. And actually, Colleen, it's great because Colleen's like, oh man, I'm through level 2. There's so much information here. I got to take a few months just to pause and just try and digest everything that Brian's thrown at me. And she's only through the level 2. As soon as she's digested that, we got a whole new world of derivatives and things like harmonics and stuff for her to get working with. So, as soon as you've fully digested the level 2 meal, Colleen, we're ready, willing, and able to hit the ground again and give you a whole bunch more fun tools to work with. So, there's no pressure, there's no shill, but people, if you want to learn how to trade, this shit works. I mean, it just does. I think I even put out a tweet like, we build monster traders. It's what we do. And I'm just so proud of this community, and I'm so proud of Joshua. I mean, he has put the time and effort in, and now he has this skill set for the rest of his life. And really, I would argue that this sells. And actually, it's so cool. I mean, okay, one more thing I'm going to have to say here. One other gentleman, which I thought was so awesome, but I have to find the damn thing now. One gentleman who recently took our school program, he actually he was in a trading competition and he won the trading competition. And he's like, the only reason why I won was thanks to good old Brian and his teachings. Yeah, I think it was right here. Oh no, that was that's Steven. Steven's such a good mentor too. Absolutely love this. I mean, what we do, the stuff works, and what I really like to see is our veterans come back and continually participate in the community. It's just, I gotta say, I mean, this community just rocks. Anyway, another gentleman, like he won a trading competition, and yeah, here it is, right? Want to learn how to win these kind of competitions, and this was so cool. This was the MM Crypto. This is Da Vinci and all his crew. This guy actually went in and went into the competition, and he won. And he said, I just did all the shit that TRI taught me. It's totally awesome. You want to win trading competitions? Come talk to us. That's what we do. So anyway, on that note, have yourselves a great day, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the offering. I hope you got some value out of it. If anything, what I want to see is everybody who did see the 6 or 7 little tidbits of value in this show, post a comment, right? And so then that way, that'll give me sort of feedback that you actually got the 6 or 7 tidbits. So have yourselves a great day. Take it easy, everybody. All the best. And I think the only thing left to say at this point is bye for now.